Hello and welcome to this edition of Eat Right with Rouses. I'm your host, Keith Weisheit. Thank you so much for joining us as we welcome in our favorite dietitian, April Sens. Hello, April.
Hi, Keith. How are you today?
I am wonderful. Thank you very, very much. And you know what? With all the heat outside and all the cold inside, it might be a good time to talk a little bit about some food safety awareness.
So true. It's actually one of my favorite topics
Okay.
because a lot of people have questions about it. And so I really like to kind of help people navigate through that and just sort of feel more comfortable with their food safety. And
Okay.
it's really important because there's a lot of things that maybe we might do at home and we don't realize maybe there's a way to tweak that and make it a little bit better. So when it comes to food safety, the summertime is a great time for these reminders. It's so hot outside. A lot of times we're doing cooking outside and those sorts of things. So, in addition to food temperatures, many people have questions about their produce, like do they wash it or not to wash it? So the first thing we're going to talk about, though, is a common one. We're going to talk about thawing food.
Okay.
So, think about how you thaw food at home. And if your first thought was at the countertop at room temperature, that's actually not one of the approved methods of thawing. And the reason why is because it's going to thaw unevenly. The outside is going to thaw first, and it's going to be at room temperature for a long, long period of time
Mm,
before that inside starts to thaw. So on the outside, you're going to have your meat temperature at room temperature, and the inside is going to be frozen. And it's not really good for meat to sit at room temperature for long periods of time because it encourages bacterial growth on the meat.
okay.
So I'm going to tell you the safest ways to thaw meat is going to be one, if you could plan ahead a little bit and put it in the refrigerator and let it thaw in the under refrigeration. That's actually the best way. It's going to be a slow thaw and it's going to be cold the whole time. Okay, so that's actually the best way. But sometimes we might take something out the same day we want to cook it, right?
Right.
And we don't have time to thaw it under refrigeration. So that's why there's other methods. So you can thaw under cool running water and continuous flowing running water. That is one way. Another way you can thaw things out is in the microwave.
Mm,
But the microwave, if you're thawing out in the microwave, the best thing to do is cook it right after. It's not for thawing and then putting it back in the refrigerator.
okay.
So, cooking it right after, and then also cooking as part of the thawing process. Now that has to be something that's really thin, like a thin fillet of fish,
Okay.
a thin hamburger, something that you can cook it, and it's going to thaw and cook all the way through during the cooking process. Can't be a big, thick piece of meat. Okay. So those are some. I hope that helps a couple of people out there. Another thing too is washing fruits and vegetables. I get that a lot. Do I wash everything? Does it depend on if it's organic or what? Well, you should wash all of your raw fruits and vegetables prior to preparation. And the reason for that is because there could be something on it. There could be salmonella, listeria, E. coli. So, what the best way to wash it is under cold running water
Okay.
as well. And then, when it comes to like a potato or a root vegetable, you do want to give that a good scrub because, of course, this grew underneath the ground, right?
Right.
So, the next thing I wanted to tell you about, I get a lot of people asking me, do I wash the salad that comes out of the bag? And the answer is on the front of the bag, it'll tell you, even this bag says thoroughly washed. So it's already washed for you. I call this just a complete convenience food. You literally can open it, pour it into a bowl, and eat it. But if it makes you feel better as a consumer, then you could definitely wash it again if you would like to. And then cooking temperatures. Let's go back to the cooking temperatures for a second. We talked about thawing, we talked about washing fruits and vegetables, but let's talk about cooking temperatures. One thing that I recommend is to get yourself a good cooking thermometer. Okay. And that's going to help you take the guesswork out of whenever you're cooking your different items. Your chicken, your hamburgers, all those things have to cook to different temperatures. And you can't really tell what the temperature of it is by your eyes. I mean, I wish we had that superpower to be able to tell by our eyes, but we can't really. Sometimes we could tell by the color of the meat and things, but a good food thermometer is really essential to have in the kitchen.
I got to tell you, I would have been lost without it. So for July the 4th, I actually grilled hamburger meat, I grilled
Hmm.
turkey, I grilled chicken, and I grilled pork.
Hmm.
For
Yes.
whatever reason, we had a plethora of meat options. And I would have been lost, but I was very specific that I kept washing and using my thermometer the whole time I grilled.
Yeah. Yes,
I'd have been lost
absolutely.
without it.
Yeah, definitely. And you want to make sure it's working properly too. So if you drop it on the ground or something like that, you want to make sure that it's calibrated. And calibration means that you're just going to make sure it's set to the right temperature. So if it's kind of like a simple one like this, you can calibrate it by putting it in some ice water and then making sure it's 32 degrees. Because sometimes when you drop your food thermometers, that can also change it too. But you mentioned a good thing, cleaning it in between. So making sure that your thermometer is clean in between taking those temperatures as well, because you don't want to cross contaminate things,
Right.
right?
Right. So I followed all of your recommendations and I did it. I did it well. And according to the people that ate it, it was pretty good. So those things are great and very helpful. So we appreciate you coming on to share with us these holiday needs that we have and summertime awareness. So thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Keith.
All right. Very good. We'll see you next time. And again, we are always appreciative for April Sins and Eating Right with Rouse's. Thank you for joining us today. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming right here on HTV.